Ben, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us at the VeVantage podcast. We really appreciate the time and effort you spend to get to know everybody and establishing that two-way communication with the VeVe community. And most importantly, today, you are here, answering the questions that not just from us, but from other collectors and customers in general who are very interested in the success of VeVe and Ecomi.
Awesome. Well, look, thanks for having me, and thank you both for the podcast. I've been a listener of it for a while, so yeah, it's great to meet you both properly as well.
Yeah, thank you. And so I will leave the spotlight to Mr. V.
All right, Mr. Rose. So what does a day in the life as a co-CEO of VeVe look like for you?
So it always starts with a plan, but it doesn't usually pan out that way. So it's there's lots to do, right? Hopefully you've noticed, you've seen that we're busy, right? We're doing lots of stuff. We're starting to drop some new features, some new products and things. So it's busy. So lots and lots of meetings and calls and that kind of thing. What we tend to do, I mean, I like to structure my week. I have a kind of three key priorities for each week, and then other stuff that I can get to if I manage those as well. So I just always keep coming back to that, coming back to that. And so, yeah, for me, I've just found that having a really key, like a really focused plan for each day, each week, each month, each quarter really works and helps you kind of knock off those big things. So that's what I do. Always checking back to that plan. Lots of calls, lots of meetings, lots of reactive stuff because, as we're in such a dynamic, evolving space. And so, yeah, working out as things come up, how do we get onto them? How do we fix them? How do we, keep focused on the big stuff?
So with all of that in mind, do you have a particular set amount of time that you'd like to allocate at a minimum to each department on whether it
No,
be a
no,
day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis?
yeah. So no, I don't. I don't at the moment. Because I'm new, I'm focusing on the areas where I feel we need to focus right now. Some of our areas are doing well, no change required. We're all good. We're strong there. Other areas need a bit more focus and a bit more support. So where I will focus in terms of teams and areas will depend usually on kind of where that's required. So we've got a really strong team, and so usually when stuff gets to the CEO, it's because there's a problem. So I'll usually kind of focus on those kind of places, but proactively, I suppose I have to step out of that each day and make sure that we keep coming back to the big thing, the big ticket items, the big strategy, the big things, just so that we don't get consumed down rabbit holes of of drama, which is easy to do, right?
Understood. And with the amount of time that you've been with the company at this point, do you
Yeah.
find that one department has required more of your attention, more so than any other?
No, I think it's been fairly even. I think we've made some reasonably big changes across our marketing area, our customer area. I wouldn't say it's because it's been a particular problem. I think it's because it's a particular opportunity. I was asked actually by Josh at Collectors Gone Digital, what are the two main, two most important parts of the business, and I think it's the product and the development of that, and then it's the promotion and engagement of the community into that. That I think marketing, I think we've got a big opportunity, particularly with some of the market dynamics happening, some of the new things we're doing to really make that work a bit harder. So I've spent quite a lot of time there.
Hey guys, let's take a 1 minute break where I will talk about a brand new way for you to showcase your amazing VeVe collection. The VeVe Vintage Club is a platform that I developed so you can create personalized VeVe slabs where you can share on social media. You can then also add these slabs to your club collection to customize it however way you want. The club is also a platform where you can share and connect with other collectors as well. Every single day, many VeVe collectors are building their incredible club collection, so make sure you check them out, and I can't wait to see what you can come up with.
And last question before I leave it to send it back to Will. You guys have started promoting the Evolvables. Is that correct? Evolvables.
Yeah, that's right.
about when you were onboarded with the company, was that already set in motion, or was that something more of uh, a new feature, a new offering that came to light once you were onboarded and you saw it and you said, let's push this. So was it
So
something
yeah, so
or something a
kind
little
of
more new?
yeah, kind of the latter, kind of the latter. So I can't take credit for the idea of Evolvables. Dan Crothers is the brains behind that. Um, and so we've at VeVe we've never had a shortage of ideas, both ourselves and the community giving us suggestions for could you launch this, could you do that, and you know and the same we have a big list of things that we could do and would like to do. Um, I think the challenge for us has been, and this I think is where I've focused, is really picking out the key ones that we are going to focus on and being really honest about the ones that we're not, right? So Evolvables was one of those ones where a lot of thinking and work had been done on it. I've helped with, you know, helped the team to do, you know, some of the positioning around it and the marketing around it, but you know, no, the idea, the creativity absolutely came from Dan on that one. And I've got to say, one of the thing that I love about working at VeVe is the creativity of our people, not just Dan, not just David, but people across the business. But yeah, ideas are not a challenge. I think it's the execution of those and the prioritization. That's where you really start to get that you know that growth on that scale.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. And so you spoke of marketing and you know, the advertising effort of VeVe. Ben, I know you spent your early career in advertising and marketing, first at the different agencies and later the same functionality, but at companies. Do you
Oh, you're
mind?
good.
What's that?
You're good. You've done your research.
Yes, always. You can ask Dan and David. I do a lot of research to make sure that I ask questions that are relevant to you and also like beneficial
Awesome.
for everybody too. Do you mind sharing how you will support and improve VeVe's marketing efforts?
Yeah, sure. So look, I'm not the head of marketing. I've got fantastic marketing team alongside other teams. So what the approach I've taken from an all of business point of view has been from the very beginning to work with the leadership team to define a business plan for the next. We've got long-term visions and goals. It's more about, okay, for the next 12 to 18 months, what are going to be the key initiatives we're going to drive? What are going to be the key results that we're going to focus on? How are we going to measure those, and how are we going to hold ourselves accountable to that? And so part of that is marketing. Um, so, you know, if I look at our marketing area, I think we've been really strong in some areas. We've had, you know, opportunities to kind of grow and add on capabilities in others. So those roles that we've been advertising, quite a few of those are brand new functions that we haven't had as a business before. And the reason for that is not because anybody did a bad job, but because the stage of business that we were at as a startup, in most functions, including marketing, but not just marketing, you want generalists. You want people who can roll sleeves up and just do a bit of everything because everything needs doing. As you start getting bigger and to the scale that we're at now, I mean, we've got customers across, you know, almost 200 countries now around the world. You start to need speciality, you start to need specialism. So people who are really good at one thing. So an example of that would be our PR and comms. We have done it before. We've got some, you know, we've had some success, we've got some coverage. Arguably, there's a lot of opportunity out there in the world, in the collecting world, where people are really into their fandoms, but not necessarily digital versions, for us to grow profile and grow awareness among them. So that's kind of how we've looked at it. We've gone, okay, where are the areas that we need to specialize in order to do this, you know, to successfully deliver this short-term business plan? And what are the current gaps in the team in terms of capability and capacity, and how do we make sure we've got the right people focusing on the right stuff?
Right. And so one area that is related to marketing that many community members really care about is affiliate marketing, whether it's
Yeah,
through
yeah,
referrals or KOL, which would be key opinion leaders in collecting and
yes.
in crypto. So I
Mm.
think that has worked well for many companies because it incentivized customers and even like content creators like ourselves to promote the business, and it brings value to the business itself. So what are your plans surrounding that area, and whether it is a focus at all?
It absolutely is a focus. Yeah, it's a really important part of how we intend to grow our user base. There are others, but this is a really important one. So that's why we're now out in market recruiting for someone who has done this successfully at other companies, done this successfully at other consumer product businesses in multiple markets. So the reason why, and I I've worked at businesses where it's been done very successfully before, so I've seen the impact it can make. So if from day one, I've been really clear that the community is this business. The whole reason we have a business is because of our community, and the passion and the engagement of our community is mind-blowing. Now, if we could harness that similar sort of energy in other fandoms and give the content creators and the KOLs a reason to introduce their followers to us, then that's a win-win for both. So, if you look at the size of collecting globally, depending on who you ask, and it's 400 billion, 500 billion, it's a lot, right? So all around the world, you've got people who are really into stamps and sneakers and movies and whatever it might be. They're all really into their thing. They've never heard of VeVe, they've never heard of digital collecting, but they're really into their thing, and they get together on Discord, they get together on X, they talk about it, they create content, they catch up in person at events. So that passion and that energy, their love for their fandom, if we could get in front of them, and if we could tell them, hey, there's fantastic news, you can now get an early release of one of those things that you could never even dream of having physical, and it's carbon neutral, and you hold it, and in AR, and blah 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 blah. That would be amazing. Now, we're not going to, as a business, we're not going to be able to afford advertising budgets to get in front of all of those people around the world, because you're starting to look at tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, the sort of money that the likes of Pepsi and Coke spend, right? Influencer and affiliate marketing is really powerful, because if you're part of a community already, then you're engaged, you listen to that key opinion leader already, you listen to what they say. So if we can give them a promo code or something that they benefit from by when their customers join us, then we're sharing some of that value. So we get customers from new fandoms from outside of our ecosystem. They get some value. It's a way for them to monetize that audience that they've got. Their customers, their followers are introduced to a new thing. So we think it could be a really powerful way for us to access, really engaged fandoms and communities around the world that might not have heard of us. But there's a lot that goes into that, right? So you need to build the system. What's the platform that it sits on? You need to go out and you need to find those community leaders and content creators and identify the right ones. Then you need to go and pitch to them and tell them who we are, what we do, and why this is a good thing for them. Then you need to set up a commercial deal with them that makes sense. And is it a cost per acquisition? Is it a revenue share? What does that look like? And there'll be norms in some communities that don't exist in others. So once you've done that, then you've got to give them the right collateral to share with their community, or the right video, or the right messaging. Then what you got to do is you've got to track that they're actually doing it, and you've got to go back to them and say, hey, look, I noticed your referrals have dropped off this week. Is there anything we can do? Do we need to change the offer, give you more material? All of that stuff. So there's a lot to it. It's new to us as a business, which is why I'm looking for someone who has done it elsewhere, because we know digital collectibles and collecting. We love that. We want someone to come and add that skill set to our business. So that's why we're doing it. But yeah, absolutely, it's a big part of our plan.
Yeah, Ben, I was smiling when you were explaining the whole thing, because I'm just so happy to hear it. I've been with VeVe and Mr. V as well since 2021. I started in February 2021, and we've been providing content and everything. So this is the first time we have heard like a solid structure and plan of this particular affiliate area, which is very, very, very exciting. And yeah.
When I started, I think when we did an announcement video, there were a few comments of, oh my God, who's this guy? What's the point? And blah blah blah. I said, look, judge us by our execution. So this is an example of that. I think where we've got a big opportunity as a community and as an organization is prioritizing and focusing on things and having a decent plan. Because if you don't have a good map, you're not going to get to the destination. So that's, I suppose, the approach that we're taking.
Yeah. So there are several other topics, but the next topic so before this interview, we crowdsourced for questions from the community, and I would say like 75% of the questions and topics people are interested in knowing more about are related to OMI and Ecomi.
Yep.
So
Yep.
please allow me to ask these questions before we get to the other aspect. So as the former GM and CEO of Binance Australia and New Zealand, and you were also the employee number one at Binance New Zealand, you have great experience with crypto. Are you working on the Ecomi side as well? And if that's the case, how much of your time is spent on VeVe versus Ecomi?
So the answer is yes, I am working on it. But I don't have concrete updates to give you right now, and I'll tell you why. So, and first of all, really important to say, I will never BS you. Right? I'm not going to say to you, I'm not going to pretend that we're doing something if we're not. I'm not going to make stuff up. I'll be really straight with you. So with OMI, it is really important to us. It is part of our planning. It is part of our future. But my focus deliberately has been on VeVe because I think where I'm going to add the most value over the next in the short term is growing the user base and engagement and revenue of VeVe. That's not to say we're not focused on OMI. We are. But right now, again, it's about prioritizing. Right now, I'm focusing on VeVe, so I can answer questions about VeVe and give you all the detail that I've got based on the planning that we've done and the stuff that we've launched and dropped. With OMI, I can't give you specifics because we haven't decided what that is, but we are looking at it. We are still working on listings, for example. We've obviously got a few already. We are looking at more, but when it comes to questions about specific functionality right now, I'm not going to make stuff up, and I haven't got an answer for you because I'm focused right now on making VeVe as strong as it could possibly be.
Right. So speaking of focus, and this is like a somewhat common perception from many folks in the community, is that VeVe is doing well without OMI. So the app is growing. There are more drops, fantastic features being released, and so but again, OMI and Ecomi, even though there are new features, have not been doing well. So there's been some questions whether VeVe would need OMI or Ecomi to survive at all, and some people are saying yes. So that kind of hurts the perception of Ecomi and OMI a little bit there. Do you guys have? I know we don't have to get into the details and all those kind of things, but do you plan to spend more time and more focus on the Ecomi for you personally, or that is the functionality of a different team and you would just be focusing on just the company of VeVe?
Yeah, so as I said before, yes, absolutely, it is part of our planning. We don't intend not to have it. We don't intend to run VeVe without it. So just to be really, really clear, couldn't be any clearer than that, right? There are lots of perceptions out in the community about all sorts of things, right? And it's when you launch something like Evolvables, there are people who go, "Oh my God, this is amazing." There are people who go, "Oh my God, this is a disaster," and you get everything in between. You can't please everybody all the time. But what we have to do is we have to make sure that we're delivering to what we think the majority of the community want, and what we think is going to perform well. And then we take feedback once that goes live on what we want to see different. And we've spoken about that with the VeVeVerse, for example. We're going to launch it in version 1. We're going to look at user behaviors. We're going to capture feedback. We're going to see what we need to update and change. So what I would say about perceptions in the community is that they're just perceptions. We have a role to play in that, though, because we haven't done the best job of communicating kind of where we're at and what's happening either. So that's why I'm having this conversation with you today. That's why I've done made a big part of my role engaging with the community and being out there and communicating as much as I can about what we are doing, just so that just because someone tweets something, it doesn't become like a known truth. Because just perceptions, right? The other thing I just also wanted to say is on feedback. So I saw lots of the questions that you were asked, and lots of the questions I get on X and Discord are, can you introduce this thing, or when are you going to do this specific thing? So what I want to let your listeners know is so if you go to the web app, comics or collectibles, in the bottom right hand corner there is a button called feedback that creates a message direct to our product team. and your suggestion goes into the planning for the roadmap, right? So it's not to say if you type it in there, we're going to do it, but it's to say if it goes in there and we start to see similar things coming up, we're going to look at that in terms of our priorities, and we're going to decide to deprioritize one thing and reprioritize that. So I can't say to you today, this is what we're going to do in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, because I don't know, and you don't know what consumers are going to want in that time, right? If we had this conversation 4 years ago, it'd be a different conversation again. So that feedback loop is really, really, really important. So yeah, I'm not going to, you can ask me stuff, are you going to introduce this thing or that thing? I'm going to tell you the truth, which is we'll have a look at it and we'll decide whether it's going to be more popular than other things we plan to do currently.
Yeah. So I have one last question on on OMI and Ecomi. But
yeah, cool.
I do respect your answer on, you are working on it and you don't want to speak too much on the details because you need time to look at things. So I hope you can take this as my feedback and also many other OMI investors' feedback on OMI. Yes, I understand that investing, like collecting, is like several $100 billion industry, but investing is like $1 trillion, like multi-trillion dollar area too. So my feedback here is that over the past 12 months, many features have been released for OMI, such as earning MCP points, OMI on base, and OMI to NFT via Stacker, right? However, the prices and adoption have yet to reflect the impact of these projects. So OMI price is lower. That's one data point. The other data point is the number of transactions using OMI on Stacker. So on November 3rd, there were 3 transactions. On November 2nd, 3 transactions. November 3rd, 7 transactions. So that's a very low amount of transactions and OMI burn. So I hope that, so I'm obviously, like, I respect your answer and things like that you need to look into, but I hope that you can take that feedback from us and also from the community on how you can grow Ecomi and OMI for the VeVe users, but also beyond the VeVe community to the crypto space as well, because that's one thing that I know for a fact from speaking to so many fellow collectors and users, is that a large number of current VeVe users join VeVe because of OMI. So OMI is a great avenue to grow the app, to grow VeVe as well. So I hope that you can take that feedback into consideration.
Yeah, look, I take the feedback, and also, I know you know this, but there's only so much that you can talk about crypto before you start getting into some challenges in terms of regulations, etc. So look, I take your feedback.
Yeah, thank you. So now we will get to the in-app improvement and questions. So I will leave the spotlight to Mr. V again.
All right. So yes, circling back to the mobile app and even the web app. I understand that as things develop, the demands, the needs of the market may shift time.
Yeah.
Has there been any particular attention been put forth towards certain features for improvements? Of course, there's a laundry list, right? But I myself, I speak with a lot of the extra passionate collectors who focus on specific editions.
Yes.
One of the difficulties that we have had in this space is people who might jump in the last second and scoop things up that were intended for others. So it's with this framework from this standpoint that I do ask, will there ever be any features such as an offering feature where you can post an amount that you'd like to offer for a particular collectible, and the other user who holds that collectible, would they be able to accept that? And before I move on, that's kind of a pretty big point, because it's one thing to leave items on the market and just kind of hope that somebody picks it up so that you can use that liquidity for other things, but that does help the space quite a bit, especially when things
Yeah.
may not be moving as quickly as we'd like.
Yeah. Okay. So let me. There's a few parts to that. So first of all, I'll let you know we do work on upgrades on the app. We're actually going to quite soon release a brand new version of the native mobile app. And I won't talk about the functionality in that because we're going to do some comms around it and walkthroughs and things. But yeah, that's pretty exciting. So we have been doing a lot of work on that stuff. As to offers and the secondary market, so one of the key parts on our business plan is growing revenue and stimulating the secondary market and doing what we can do there as well, making sure that we make it as easy as possible. So will there be product changes there? Yes, there will. Now, I don't know whether that specific one is going to drive more of a difference or be more popular or valuable than others. And that's the sort of thing that we're going to look at. So what I would say on that, and any other piece of feedback, is give us the feedback in that feedback button on the bottom right hand side of the web app, because if you spoke to Tim Cook at Apple and said, "Tell me if iPhones will one day be able to do this thing," he's not going to say to you, "Yeah, next November we're going live," right? He's gonna feed that into the process that the product team go through, which is assessing all the things they could do, working out which ones are going to be the most popular and the most highly used and valued, and prioritizing those. So that's, this is one of the things that we had definitely on our list of things that people want. We've also got there are trade-offs, right, against other things. So yeah, we're aware of the opportunity. We're aware of the difference it could make. We just have to assess whether other things we could do would make more of a difference, and then kind of have a roadmap accordingly. Well,
Yeah,
I know it's not the ideal answer that you want, but it's the truth.
No, that's certainly fair. That's certainly fair, and I perfectly understand. So thank you for that. And another thing that we've had in mind is the current app. So you did say that there's going to be a new
Yeah.
that you'll be rolling out a newer version of it.
Yes.
Is that to say that the current app that's available to the public, general public right now, will there continue to be updates and upgrades to that, or is that more of or is the company more choosing to hit pause on that in order to cater to the newer version?
So I'll give you updates on that, but similar to our approach with the web, where we launched a new version and we gave people a seamless way to move over. That's what we intend to do. So it won't become a problem. How you transition. It's not. I think that your choice of words around giving up is not right. So all we're doing is constantly improving, and I think it's a really important thing to understand, because I see on X a lot of comments about these guys are doing nothing. This thing's been the same since whatever. If you look at the full list of all of the enhancements and upgrades and new products and features that we've dropped, there's a lot of them, right? There's a lot of them, and so it's a we're always doing that stuff. The question is actually which are the most important things that are going to make the biggest difference, and so I think that's where we're gonna start to focus. But yeah, look, more comms around the new version of the app soon. But yeah, it's going to be pretty good. It's pretty good.
Cool.
And I'm a Kiwi, so when I say pretty good, that means amazing.
And I certainly didn't mean to diminish what updates have been going on. Of course, I noticed that I'm on the app every day. Extensive amount. So everything does make a big difference, and it does add up over time. So I certainly acknowledge those.
Thank you.
I certainly do. Now,
Ben, just a quick question. This is the mobile app or the web app that will have a new version?
Mobile.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Nice. Yeah.
All right. And before kind of hitting some other big points, there's just one thing that I feel that may have been slightly overlooked, or maybe it's just a matter of timing and resources, as you've pointed out with so many other things. But I would like to get your insight as to the topic of dormant accounts and the collectibles within them. So
Yes.
so
Good.
we
I'm keen on this.
okay, very good. So I did have some friends reach out to me and share screenshots about old accounts going dormant, and they have until early this month actually, before the accounts are, uh, for lack of a better word, closed. Now, that's after a 2-year marker, and part of what I'm hoping to see, and I would love to see,
Mm,
for
mm,
the greater community, is that the true supply gets reflected as part of the technology that VeVe does offer, and one of the benefits of things being electronic and digital. Uh,
Yep.
will there be, well, and let me frame this a little bit more. Below each collectible, there's the burned editions, there's the current supply, so on and so forth.
Mm, yep.
Does VeVe, will the company, no, and I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to phrase.
I can answer. I know what your question is. I can answer your question.
All right.
So yeah. So we don't have a decision on it yet because there are pros and cons of what you do either way. So the honest answer is we don't have a decision on it. We're working on that right now. So the dormant accounts are a massive opportunity for this business. But ordinarily in the way of doing business is when you have dormant accounts that go, after a certain period of time, you'll go out to the user and you'll remind them and hey, and come back, and after you get to a certain point, you go, okay, they're gone, we're going to close it, they're gone. So then that's good from a business process point of view, but actually from a marketing point of view, not amazing. And from a customer point of view, there's different points of view, right? So what we are working through right now, one of the roles you've hopefully seen us recruiting is a life cycle lead. And so what life cycle is about is the different stages of a user's journey and experience with us, when they onboard, when they join us, when they're with us, when they might start to leave. And so what I'm wanting this team to do in response to this is to say, how do we reactivate as many of these dormant accounts as we possibly can? We know quite a bit about them from the data. Right? We know what IPs they're into. We know what their behavior was. So we should be able to use that as insight to kind of go back to them and say, hey, we've got the final collectible in your set, special offer, or whatever it might be, to get them back in to reactivate those. So that's one thing we're working through. As part of that, we need to have a position around what happens when we can't and when we don't. And so we don't have that. I can't give you an answer on that right now. We are working on it. So I'm aware of it. I don't have an answer. There's pros and cons of both sides, right? So we're just working through it. So you could say, well, just put them back on the market and sell them. So how does that work from a licensor point of view? What if the user comes back and wants it? How do you do that? You've sold it once, now you're selling it again. How does that work? Okay, so you could burn it. What if they come back? So it's not as simple as just going do X. And I think in lots of, because this is such a new space, this is a broader conversation, because this is such a new space, digital assets, digital collecting, there's no like roadmap of what you do in these situations. You can't go, what did those guys do? What do the rest of the industry do? So you're sort of working through these issues for the first time. So yeah, I don't have an answer for you because it's really hard, and we are working on coming up with one. But the dormant accounts are a massive, massive, massive opportunity that we are well aware of and very, very focused on leveraging.
Right. And I guess part two to that question, given your response, uh, let's say that the accounts do get quote unquote closed. Is
Mhm.
there still an opportunity for those closed accounts to be reintroduced into the platform, into the market, into circulation after the fact, given that there's still some uncertainty on the company side as to how they're going to handle the life cycle of those collectors?
Don't have an answer. I don't have an answer one way or the other for you. I can go out and find that out, but I mean I've only been here for about 3 minutes, so give me a
Right.
chance.
Well, fair, yeah, I understand. Well, thank you for that thoughtful response. I appreciate it. Will?
Yeah, I think it's great that you are planning to win back those dormant accounts, because you obviously know from a business perspective, it's a lot cheaper to win back an existing customer than to acquire a brand new customer. So that's awesome that you are thinking about that. So
That's part of our, that's part of our user growth plan with,
mm,
with the affiliates, with growing PR and comms to grow awareness and get people in front of fandom. So we're, we're looking at it's what you do in business, right? You go, what are all the available levers to pull? What's the, the objective, the outcome is to grow daily active users. That's what we want to do. So where can we get those people from? And if we can reactivate people who, once upon a time found value in the platform, came and engaged and get it and understand, well, let's definitely, have a good crack at getting them back.
yeah. So many members are also interested to know more about the plan with the VeVeVerse. And so you and Dan recently had a great video with Corey to
Yep.
go through your Dan showroom, and
Mm.
it's I really enjoyed it, because way back when I was interviewed Dan last year, he that interview was also the first time that we had a glimpse of the VeVeVerse, which was awesome too. So many people are interested to know what, like, about the NDAs, when they will be removed for better users, so that they can promote VeVeVerse as well as the licensors as well. And maybe if you have an answer, maybe like your plan to allow the whole user base to try out this amazing product.
Yeah, totally. So we said in the video that the public launch of it will be Q1. So that is when everybody can use it. So that's the timing thing. The beta testers creations are amazing and too good not to show. And so what we want to do is, having released this preview, what we don't want to do is have radio silence between now and when we go live, because again, that's something we have learned as a business, is that it's all very well to be heads down building stuff, but if you're also not communicating kind of where you're at, then that you get these kind of narratives around, this thing's not happening, it's gone, all that kind of stuff. So what we are doing with our awesome community team, with Corey and with Aaron and with Eagle, is we're going to be sharing some of those beta testers spaces and what they've created between now and the public launch. So what we are doing at the moment is we are speaking to different ones of them, and not all in one go. We'll do it bit by bit. We're going through those spaces with them to make sure that they're kind of in good shape and ready to go. You'll see the first one coming up quite soon. So that's that. So the reason for the NDAs is because we wanted beta testers to really test it and learn and tell us what was working and what wasn't working. What we didn't want to do is we didn't want to go out to market, or any of that to go out to market, because it makes it gives perceptions that it's going to look like this or it's not, or that kind of stuff. It just means that you can't really do product development properly. So that's why we had the NDAs in place. They're still in place while we go through this period of of build and comms, because I think it's really, really important that we're very, very upfront and honest about what will be and what won't be in the VeVeVerse. And so that's why we did that little video before, just to talk about it's going to be a place to meet and engage with collectors and share your collectibles. It's not going to be a gaming platform, that kind of stuff. So we don't want some of those beta testers creations to give the impression that it's going to be something different, and then on launch day people go, oh, you guys lied. So we have learned about the the importance of actually having a really strong and robust comms plan around stuff. So that's why that's why we did that, and that's why we're doing that. And so that's why we are going to be releasing walkthroughs and reveals of what some of those beta testers have created.
Awesome. Yeah. So we have a couple minutes left. So I want to shift gear and focus on looking forward. So I guess our last question for you is regarding the future plan of VeVe. So now you have NFT, you have digital with the Funko Iron Man, the stamps, and fig pins. What barrier will VeVe break through next? And maybe yeah, maybe on some general plan on what you're planning to do in the next 12 months or even beyond that.
Totally. So I'll talk in quite broad terms because we don't want to give the secret sauce away to competitors. Phygital is a big deal for us. Phygital is really important. So we're going to be, we're going to be announcing and exploring partnerships there. Growing our IPs and broadening the appeal of our IPs is really important to us as well. We're really strong in pop culture. We're building that strength in comics, but in terms of collectibles, there is just so much more out there as well. So we're gonna look to start broadening out the types of collectibles and the types of IPs that we offer on the platform. I think those would be the two key things. The other one, that's probably the last one, is geographical spread. So we, over the years have built up, amazing customer bases and communities in specific countries. There are, in English speaking countries, you've got some real strength, but oh my goodness, look at the size of digital collecting and collecting in Asia and further afield in Europe and other parts of the world. So we're going to be looking at how do we expand into some of those parts of the world as well. So yeah, we're looking at it very strategically. We're looking at ourselves as a collectibles platform that has strengths in certain areas, but there are some massive opportunities in other areas that we are yet to grow into, and we're really focused on that.
Awesome. Ben, thank you so much for spending the time with us today, and we really appreciate you answering some of these hard questions. Yeah, we hope you have a great rest of the week, and we look forward to welcome you on again maybe next year to share more
Awesome.
of the progress of VeVe and the future plan as well.
Awesome. Hey, thanks very much for having me, guys, and thanks also just for your support in general. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ben. See ya.
See you guys. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.